J.D. Vance makes his case. Welcome to Columbus on the Record. Most of us here in Ohio know who J.D. Vance is, but this week's vice presidential debate introduced him to many Americans unfamiliar with him. Vance took a softer tone against Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. He was empathetic and gracious. He was still sharply on message, criticizing Kamala Harris on immigration and high inflation. Tim Walz started haltingly. He misspoke, but he gained his footing and made his case for codifying Roe versus Wade nationally and criticized Donald Trump for his false statements, particularly about the 2020 election in January 6th.
This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Mark, we will get to that in a moment, but first to the overall tone of the debate. We were kind of expecting a brawl based on what each Vance and Walz said about each other on the trail, but it was an old-fashioned civil substantive debate. Were you surprised by that?
No, I've heard a lot of people say they liked it. I mean,
absolutely.
I think J.D. Vance complimented and offered to agree with Walz several times, but people got a real sense of his character as a man of faith and as a leader. I mean, Walz is an experienced politician. You debate nearly every day in Congress. He was governor for 2 terms. We went through debates that they were trying to do the jeepers. He's not quite so sure if he knows how to debate, lowering the expectations. But it was enjoyable. You said that Walz misspoke. Of course, he lied numerous times, and the fact checks have proven that out. But VP debates don't typically drive the top of the ticket. But for those who thought that the headlines about cat ladies defined J.D. Vance, anybody who watched that debate came away realizing that the media coverage of him was very skewed.
Well, also, Walz has faced criticism for how he handled the George Floyd protest in Minnesota. Vance did say some things that were not completely true. His stance on the national abortion ban, whatever you want to call it. Joe, were you surprised by the tone?
Well, I was not that surprised by the tone because I didn't think that fundamentally it was in either one of those guys. I think it's a lot different giving a speech than it is than debating across somebody that is flesh and blood. Now, I did an interesting thing. In addition to watching the debate, I also listened to it without video a couple of days later. And I will tell you that video alone sounded a lot differently. And Walz did not come across, I don't want to use the word awkward, but certainly not as comfortable in front of the camera.
So audio, Walz did better when you couldn't see.
Yeah. And I think it reminded us all of the Kennedy-Nixon stories we've heard.
Jake, that goes back to J.D. Vance has been doing national interviews really for 10 years since his book came out. He's done a lot of media interviews. He's done some tough interviews since he was named the VP nominee. Harris and Walz have not. That cost Governor Walz in this debate, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that J.D. Vance has unmistakably been sharpened, in over all these debates, some really tough debates, some very public debates. The moment that comes to mind is in the Senate Republican primary a few years ago. You might remember Josh Mandel and Mike Gibbons both kind of puffing out their chests about who was the bigger, tougher guy. And J.D. Vance really just had this slick moment of like, okay, look, I'm a veteran, so I can speak to this issue with some credibility. Stop doing this. Like, this is not how we should be comporting ourselves. And I think it gave him an aura of credibility, of this is someone who we should listen to for his ideas. And I think Tim Walz just hasn't had that kind of battle-testedness, really.
Sarah, VP debates, it only had a fraction of the viewers that the Trump-Harris debate had. Even when a VP candidate makes a major mistake, you're no Jack Kennedy, it doesn't matter. But this was kind of a draw in the end.
I think that's the general consensus among a lot of people. I think people who haven't followed Vance as closely and have maybe seen the hits he's taken in national media over the last couple of months weren't maybe prepared to see how sharp he can be on the debate stage. I think everyone in Ohio was prepared for that because they watched him debate Tim Ryan 2 years ago. But I mean, I saw this graphic going around on X, formerly Twitter, that was a Venn diagram of people who watch vice presidential debates and people who are still unsure about who they're voting for, there was no overlap. And I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, people who are watching this are very interested and probably already decided.
Absolutely.
Mark, to the 2020 election, why can't Vance say who won that election?
I think what he's trying to do is define the other side as election deniers from way back, starting with Hillary Clinton, who claimed that Facebook ads gave Donald Trump the election from Russia. Anybody who sees the inflation rates know that Joe Biden won the election. Anybody who sees the gasoline prices of a couple years ago, anyone sees the wars in Ukraine and Middle East know that Joe Biden is the
That's a good message. Why doesn't he say that?
I think he could have. I think his goal was to stay on offense, and he did it pretty well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he could say, look, we lost narrowly because of the pandemic, upended everything. It wasn't fraud, but we didn't have a chance. We were kind of given a raw deal, and we're back to fix things. But he's not willing to do that. Trump's not willing to do that.
Because he can't. Mike, the thing is that once that you associate yourself, and since nobody is more associated with Donald Trump than Vance, then you've got to say the words that the master puppeteer is telling you to say. You've got to do a particular style. He got away from that during this debate, and that's to his credit. And also, he didn't hurt himself for 2028. Which I think is important.
He probably helped himself. Would you say, Jake, for 2028? I said on our podcast, this was the first campaign appearance for J.D. Vance's 2028 presidential run, no matter who wins in November.
Yeah, I think that whether you like or not like J.D. Vance's politics, his policies, he came off well in that debate. I mean, he was there. He brought his guns out. And I think to the point we were just discussing on the 2020 election, I remember him during that night saying that he referred to a peaceful transfer of power, which was a pretty galling line. I mean, it brought to mind images of people climbing up the walls and getting in fights with flagpoles on the National Wall.
He also said that Donald Trump saved Obamacare after trying to repeal it several times. Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting framing of the situation.
Which issue do you remember most from that debate? Which issue came out? Was it inflation? Was it immigration? Was it the abortion rights? We'll talk about that in a moment. But
I guess I think the moment that did stick with me the most was probably at the end on the 2020 election. I think the policy debates got a little more in the weeds, and you're listening to both candidates. I mean, CBS came right out with talking about Israel. No real introduction of both of the candidates. But I think the moment at the end with discussion of the 2020 election stuck most with me. But abortion has been tough as well, I think, for Vance, because Republicans are really trying to figure out how to toe the line post-Roe.
Yeah, all right. There are some new polls out that give us an idea where Ohio voters stand as early voting begins this coming week. First, to the presidential race, a Bowling Green University poll shows President Trump with a 7-point lead over Kamala Harris, 51% to 44%. That's similar to a New York Times poll that came out this week that had Trump with a 6-point lead. That Bowling Green poll has Sherrod Brown leading Bernie Moreno by 4 points in the U.S. Senate race, 49% to 45%. Again, similar to that New York Times poll. In issue 1, the redistricting amendment, the yes on issue 1 leads by 40 points, 60% to 20%, but 20% are still unsure. Jake Zuckerman, what I see with all these polls is inconsistency. Trump with a solid lead, Sherrod Brown, the Democrat, with a decent lead, still just within the margin of error, and issue 1 backed by Democrats opposed by Republicans with a big advantage. What's going on?
Yeah, I wish I knew. What I could tell you, what really stuck out to me from that poll is I'm less interested in which candidate is up, which issue is up. But if you just look at that poll as a sense of how are people thinking about the world, American politics right now, it is a very gloomy outlook. I'm fudging the numbers here, but about 6 in 10 voters said wrong track for the state, wrong track for the country. I'm scared about political violence. I think the country, the entire world thinks less of the country right now. So you're talking about jumbled results, which I think is almost a reasonable output of people who just do not, whether you're Democrat or Republican, do not think very highly of the political system as it is.
Sarah, the Brown-Moreno race, Brown was up early. He was on TV a lot with commercials in the spring and early summer. Moreno went up on TV. His supporters went up on TV attacking Sherrod Brown. The race narrowed. Now it's kind of widened out a bit. Again, it was still only a few percentage points apart, but still there's a lead there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've seen a little bit of back and forth in this, and Sherrod Brown has said time and time again this is going to be his toughest race yet. Right now, he looks up in the polls. He looks up in a lot of the polls, but Moreno is certainly out and about in the state campaigning. He was with Representative Jim Jordan, the firebrand Ohio conservative that everybody knows, earlier this week. So, I mean, I think it's tough for people to figure out how. It's tough for people to do the math and figure out how Sherrod Brown is going to pull this off in a state that is going to vote by several points for Trump. I mean, I don't think anyone here or anywhere else is debating that, but I mean, we're only going to know when we know.
Mark, Donald Trump still has a lead, sizable lead, but if you look at the numbers, it's shrunk a bit. It's down to 7. He won by 8 the last 2 times, so we're still within the margin of error. But the active vote, whatever you want to say about the reliability of that poll, active vote had Trump up by 12 in August. Now they have him up by 7. So that's been basically cut in half. Do we read anything into that? Is it just a natural tightening?
This is a tight race. I've never seen a presidential race quite this tight. I wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post a couple of years ago about the tendency for Trump voters to not want to talk to pollsters. And also now that pollsters are using a lot of text solutions for polling, older people are less likely to engage by text. It's really hard to capture the real feelings. Having said that, I think we all agree Trump's going to win. The question is whether it's by what he won before, 8. I've predicted it'll be 10. But I still think there's a couple twists and turns in the election out there that might affect that final number. It's just not going to affect the result of who gets Ohio's electoral votes.
The number could be important to Sherrod Brown. If Trump wins by 10, he's got a tough task.
Yeah.
If Trump wins by 6, then Sherrod Brown is in good shape, right?
And there is a wild card here that I want to mention. But by the way, Mark, I think, is absolutely right. When he wrote that op-ed piece, he was reflecting on the 2016 election. I think things have changed because Trump has become a cultural icon, which may be what is driving these differences between issue 1 and Trump here in Ohio. But the wild card is the new registrants, because over the country, 8 million people since the last election have aged into the voting rolls. And according to Vote.org, about 1 million people that they have helped registered, 79% of those are under 35. And then you've got like 29% that are around the age of 18. And I don't think we need to guess as to where those younger voters are going to go. And that might be here in Ohio as well. That we don't know. But we can't ignore the fact that Trump has been consistent, 7, 8 points, or however many you want to have.
You know, it seems confusing, Mark, with the issue 1 margin. Now, unsure voters tend to vote no. So let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that the unsure voters all vote no, then the vote no folks vote no. The issue 1 is still up by 20, even if that happens.
It tends to be a Democrat-Republican issue. I'm supporting the issue no side, so everybody knows. But for years, I taught polling at the graduate level at University of Akron, and here's one of the things I told my students. It's easy to simulate a ballot test when you say to a voter, would you vote for the Republican Bernie Moreno or the Democrat for Sherrod Brown? That's a precise ballot test. To simulate a ballot test for a ballot issue, you have to give that person on the phone or the text all of the words they're going to see on the ballot. You can't. And as a result, the pollster tends to summarize it. And when they summarize it, we don't know if they summarize it the way the voter was going to do. Yeah. So now you spend $26 million of dark money from out-of-state foreign interest, you're going to get a bump, not 20 points worth.
Now, could it be also that people are mad at everyone? A lot of people are mad. That's what Donald Trump gets a lot of his support from. Mm-hmm. Issue 1 kind of reflects that anger that the system is broken, and this is possibly a way to fix it,
well,
right?
It depends on how you view issue 1. The official ballot language tells us that it will force gerrymandering into the Constitution, and it will undo the reforms that Ohioans passed by 70%. That's the official ballot language. That's not me saying that. That's the official language.
That's not what the voters are hearing on the TV ads.
Well, again, $26 million from out-of-state foreign interest can make a lot of polling. I just don't think it's 20 points, and it's hard to poll. I guess that's my point. It's difficult to poll a ballot question unless you read that lengthy ballot language.
All right. Let's get to our third topic, a sort of a bigger picture topic. Abortion has been a big issue ever since the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade 2 years ago. But it's gaining prominence in the final weeks of this campaign. The Dobbs decision has put Democrats on offense and made Republicans play defense, something that was on display at this week's vice presidential debate.
Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade. 52 years of personal autonomy.
In the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families. So many young women also see an unplanned pregnancy as something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships. And we have got to earn people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies.
Senator Donaldson, you mentioned this earlier, but this illustrates the problem, the struggle Republicans have had in trying to square how they were so much opposed to abortion rights, before Dobbs. Now that Dobbs is hit and Roe has fallen, popularity has gone the other way. And that was sort of an empathetic tactic on the part of J.D. Vance.
Absolutely. And I don't know that comment at the debate, it really reflected what I think he said back in 2023 when Issue 1 first passed. He put out a really pretty similar tweet about the fact that he feels like Republicans and people of faith have kind of lost the trust of the general populace on the issue. They're not focusing on, they're maybe just focusing on abortion and not focusing on other ways to help women, which he is saying there that he thinks some of the messaging needs to go around. Of course, it's put Republicans on the defense. It's you've seen it. Not only this year do we have an election where possibly, folks are going to vote for Trump and then vote for Issue 1, which is seen as voting for the Democrats. We saw that in Ohio last year. I mean, 2 ballot issues passed a short time after Republicans won. So, I think Republicans are trying to figure out how to message on this. And thus far, I don't know that they've found something that is resonating as much.
So, Mark, how should Republicans handle this? Because on their base, the folks who are very much opposed to abortion rights, they don't want any legal abortion. Some don't even want exceptions. But the polling is showing that 60% want at least some standard, near the Roe standard. How should Republicans handle this?
Well, I think J.D. Vance spoke with empathy about how many young women feel about this issue. To be clear, anybody who puts abortion at the top of their issue matrix is a blue voter. No doubt.
But it was the red voter who did that for a long time before Roe was overturned.
Not to if they put abortion at the top of their matrix because they were pro-life, right?
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
But they were one-issue voters.
But given the problems we're facing with the economy and the border and wars around the world, people have other interests. So anybody who is voting with abortion on their heart already knows who their candidate is, whether it's red or blue. Having said that, I think our party can be as empathetic as possible to young women who are facing difficult choices. And the better way to win their hearts is to show them that killing that life, that God-formed life in their womb, is really a bad idea, and there's a way to help. And that's a much better approach than sort of a scolding approach that not all, but some people on the right have taken over the years.
Some Democrats, Joe, don't want any restrictions. But others, including Tim Walz in that debate, said he supported the Roe standard, the viability standard, which is what Ohioans approved last year.
Yeah, that's correct. I think that the whole thing about what happens is that some Democrats believe that you should leave it up to the doctor and the patient, being the mom, the expected mom in this case. And some people, obviously on the Republican side, are trying to extrapolate that as a consequence of that, in the most ridiculous sort of way, that you can have abortions up to the 9th month, including after birth, quote unquote, Donald Trump, which is ridiculous. There is no such thing. And so it gets bastardized. The message gets affected. But it's curious that neither campaign is 100% pro-life. They're both really pro-choice. It's just a matter of after when. Yeah.
Sherrod Brown, the first part of his campaign, Jake, was talking about Bernie Moreno's business record, talking about his fight against fentanyl. All of a sudden, the videotape comes out of Bernie Moreno, and the Sherrod Brown abortion rights ads are all over the place. It's not a coincidence that this is the issue he's focusing on in the last few weeks.
I mean, I think the proof's in the pudding. So many red states have advanced these constitutional abortion. It's not just Ohio. Kansas comes to mind. I think Florida has one on the ballot now. you know, this is an issue that transcends party much more than it was really given credit for. Even before Roe fell, West Virginia came within 2-3 points of a pro-abortion constitutional vote. So I think that there's a lot of potency here that Sherrod Brown, on an issue that he's previously been more reticent on, is just trying to tap in and capitalize on that. Because like we've said, I mean, he needs a lot of Trump voters to pull his lever.
Well, although it shows Sherrod Brown's worried, because playing to the left, which is what he's doing with that ad, shows he needs to turn out his base. If he were winning towards the middle, he would say, okay, I need to be a little more moderate. But this shows that he thinks the only way he can win is to motivate the base to come out and overcome what's likely a Republican year.
Because abortion rights is supported by 60%, and a lot of women, moderate Republicans, moderate Democrats in suburban areas, it motivates them as well.
Not much, not at the top of their matrix. As I said before, if abortion is at the top of your matrix, you know which party you're for already. And many of those suburban women have become Democrats over the issue. They already have their pick. The fact that Sherrod Brown would be moving to the left this late in the race suggests that this is a turnout election, which I think was true already. Yeah. It's just his proof that it's a turnout election, not a persuasion election.
I don't think that it's actually throwing the people into the Democratic side. I think it's throwing the people into the pro-choice side. But it's not necessarily, you're not losing those Republicans. They'll come back and they may even vote for Trump.
All right, let's get to our last topic. The rhetoric about Springfield's Haitian immigrants has died down a little, but it has not disappeared. This week, former President Trump promised to remove temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants and deport those living and working in Springfield. Governor DeWine says he has become, quote, increasingly infuriated with former President Trump and Senator Vance for their continued false claims that Haitian immigrants are in Springfield illegally. His comments to Politico were his harshest yet. Joe Mas, he's increasingly infuriated. The governor, that's fighting words, isn't it?
He is, and much to his credit, by the way, because not only did he speak against the type of language, which was really identifying these Haitian people that came in to work in industry as potential savages, but our governor tried to then do something about it by sending additional resources to the schools and to the hospitals in the city of Springfield. So credit goes to him on that. And quite frankly, I wonder where this is going to lead us 30 days from now as far as his endorsements and his support.
There's a touching piece in Politico. If folks haven't read it, it's good. Mike DeWine went to a Haitian Creole mass that wasn't publicized. I don't think there are any cameras there. The reporters there with him. But Mark, this is something that hits close to home for him. Does it blunt this issue for the Republicans at all?
First of all, Mike DeWine, once again, has been a steady hand through this. He really hasn't fallen down on one side or the other in an extreme way. Most people know that his daughter, Becky, tragically died years ago, and he and Fran started a school in Haiti for the poorest of the poor. So Mike DeWine has a heart for Haiti. Had this been another country, had these been Venezuelans or people from Somalia, he probably would have a different level of passion. I'm not saying he wouldn't have done the same policy things, but Mike DeWine, this is how I first met him before I was his political advisor, I was donating to the school amongst the poorest of poor. So the fact that this is Haiti, that's what you're seeing the passion behind Mike DeWine.
In Springfield, which is basically his next door.
Which is the Miami Valley.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jake, how do you read this? Is this going to blow over here now that the debate didn't focus on it? You know, Trump dropped that this week, but it was in an interview, kind of off the cuff type of thing. He wanted to send the Haitians back to Venezuela for some reason, so you figure he was just sort of spitballing.
I think it's a connecting flight.
You know, it might blow over for us, like the media, the chattering class, but if you are Haitian, you have been given, just today, I think there were 70 gang shootings just north of Port-au-Prince, so Haiti is very unstable right now. You've come legally to the United States, you are living, working, and raising your family. All of a sudden, a former president, maybe a next president, has said, we're going to deport you. First he said Venezuela, now he said Haiti. So it might, I think politically, yes, it will blow over, but I don't think this threat of deportation just blows over. I think that is very front and center on your mind.
Yeah, there's still talk of threats against business owners who have employed Haitian immigrants, and New York Times had a piece on that. So it's dying down, but it's not over. All right, let's get to our final off-the-record parting shots. And Mark Weaver, you're up first.
Sure. The Democrats behind the Vote Yes on Issue 1 campaign started their campaign with a commercial referencing Michigan football. They had forgotten to note that Michigan passed an Issue 1 plan and it was struck down unanimously by 3 federal judges for racial gerrymandering. Perhaps they shouldn't have brought Michigan up in the discussion.
Okay. Joe.
Well, I think the Michigan plan is actually working, but that's not, we do disagree on some things. But you and I agree on one thing, and that is that our viewers should support WOSU during the fall drive. And as an attorney, I recommend that as you review, which you should every couple of years, your will and your trust, try to remember WOSU.
Our advancement team, Joe, will be very thankful for
Seriously?
that.
And
Yeah.
call Joe. He can write a good will.
Jake.
Not anymore.
I have neither a will nor trust. Joe, if you have a minute after we wrap here, we should talk. I think Joe Burrow's in for a very, very tough weekend. I don't think 2.5 points is right at all.
Cincinnati Bengals quarterback. They won last week, though. Sarah.
I'm looking forward to early voting starting very, very soon, and we'll be looking for pictures of the long lines outside of the Franklin County Board of Elections, which may be a bit shorter this year because the BOE has added voting machines and space for more early voting to get people in and out the door faster. So we'll see.
It'll be fun to watch. Baseball. Us Red Sox fans have a warm spot for Terry Francona. He won us our first and second World Series. Also, Cleveland Guardians, Indians then Guardians fans have a warm spot for Terry Francona. Now he's going to manage the Reds. So let's hope he does for the Reds what he did for the Red Sox and for the Guardians as he takes over as manager down there. That is Columbus on the Record for this week. Check us out online. Continue the conversation on Facebook. Watch us anytime at our website, wosu.org/COTR, on YouTube and the PBS app. For our crew and panel, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.